My first memory of flight involved a large styrofoam glider as a child, and it had quite an impact on me. I remember it very vividly now. I remember the sound it would make when it would hit a tree or when it would land in the grass. I remember how we would need to repair it, how the wings would fall off. But I mostly remember the smooth flight, and to the eyes of a 5-year-old, it may as well have been magic. It was so cool. It flew unlike anything I had ever seen before. And after that, I moved on to the balsa wood gliders, especially the cool ones with the rubber band propellers. And I did school reports on flight-related things on the Wright brothers, for example. My final year project in university was also aviation-related. I took some flight-related courses, or I guess astrodynamics, kind of flight-related. Even tried flight school in the summers for a private pilot license, but I was also taking university courses and working, so it just didn't work out from the time perspective, and that dream of flight had to be put on pause. I like the physics of flying, just the aerodynamics and the mechanics of the motion. And a little bit more abstractly, I like the perspective it can bring and the freedom that it affords through different types of motion. My appetite for that perspective and the different type of motion can be satiated on the ground anyway by running. I find a lot of parallels between running, especially trail running, and flying. It can be running in formation around a track with a group of friends, or it can be in a forest, blasting through trails, taking tight turns. It's different from the day-to-day motion of walking around or driving around, especially if there's some sort of elevation element involved. If I can go to the top of a mountain or look across and run along a ridge off in the distance, being able to point to some place, somewhere, some different altitude, somewhere off in the distance, and then be running there half an hour later, it's just really liberating somehow, really fun. Also, I mean, just the practicality of being able to cover a lot more distance in a short amount of time means you get to see a lot more. I think that's one of my favorite ways of exploring a new city, is to wake up early and run through it. Running, however, is not flying, and recently I had the opportunity to do some real flying in the Swiss Alps. I took a 2-week paragliding course in Verbier, southwest Switzerland, with Verbier summits. It was phenomenal. (2,200 meters). Such a cool feeling, such a unique experience. It starts by basically running in the mountains, running down a little slope in the mountains, and then suddenly you're just in the air. And it feels quite similar to sitting in a playground swing wearing a backpack, except you can steer the swing and it goes a mile in the air. We would take 2 gondolas up the mountain, fly as much as we could in the morning and early afternoon, and in late afternoon, as the weather became a little bit more bumpy, we'd spend time in ground school learning about aerodynamics, soft wing aerodynamics, learning about the weather, learning about air law. All that stuff was interesting. I just enjoy learning it, but there's a new sense of urgency thinking the things that I'm learning now could literally keep me from falling from the sky. In the first flights we got to practice different maneuvers, different ways to manipulate the wing, and just get a feel for how it responds under different conditions and different inputs. One other similarity I found between trail running and paragliding is the type of commitment you need. When you're in the air, you must land. You can't have second thoughts. You can't feel tired and want to stop. It's totally in your hands to have a safe landing. You can't get nervous and ask for help or decide you're in over your head. You have to follow it through all the way. In trail running, there may be a similar situation if you go out for quite a long run, alone in the forest, still hours away from the trailhead, and that sense of just maybe discomfort with the situation, but knowing that you need to follow through, it can be empowering somehow to know that you have just a single task and you must complete it. And I like that sort of micro commitment and the dependence on oneself that must arise from it. Flying alone was fun, being able to kind of explore the valley, check out villages from the top, soar over little ridges. In the second week, as we got a bit more capable and independent, we got to fly closer to and with other friends in the course. We had a really fun group. We all got along well and had a lot of laughs, and being able to fly together was just a completely different experience. First of all, having another person in the air, you could get a real sense for the speed and the distance and the height, and it really highlighted the sense of motion, and that was just exciting. But more than that, it was just cool to see your friends out there.
Okay guys, very nice takeoff, keep your direction.
I could see Nathan got some nice lift off that ridge, or Miriam's had an awesome landing, or somehow Oshin's higher than me again. George comes zooming past.
George, can you hear me? This is awesome!
Down at the landing site we can see Nina and Pavel swooping in with a massive flare. It's just fun to have that shared experience all as beginners. The landing site, when we packed our wings, we were normally buzzing, just talking about the last flight, pointing out things that we noticed in each other's landings and takeoffs. It was just so much fun to share that in a group. Our instructors Mike and Stu and Andres and Pavel were excellent. And when you're a kilometer in the air, sitting in a fabric chair, about to try something you've never tried before, you want a relaxing and reassuring voice on the radio.
Awesome job.
It was an excellent experience and a skill I hope to maintain and improve in the coming years.
That was great.
It's flying.
Follow when you want, Henry.